that was one of the books that, like and that scene in particular where if I ever have a bad day, I just think back to, like, that guy and stumbling upon the bunker with the eating the can of corn, like, just how something like that could have a huge impact on your life. Yeah, it stuck with me for, like it's gonna stay with me forever.
Yeah, I read a book by Cormac McCarthy relatively recently, Blood Meridian, and I didn't like it. It was kind of very disturbing to me, and I remember grappling with cancel culture and like wondering whether this book should be canceled or whether this author should be canceled.
Really?
And
Why?
yeah, thinking it was just a dumb exercise to frame it in those terms. Blood Meridian is essentially a book about America expanding westward to the good old days of cowboys and Indians, right? Where people would get money for scalps, right? Native scalps or Mexican scalps. So in this book, in Blood Meridian, they go into Mexico, and all that is fine with me, right? The scalping and the genocide and the settler colonialism because it's based on history. What really pissed me off was Cormac McCarthy's description of Mexican women and Mexicans in general, but Mexican women in particular. He would describe them as like idiots, as like easily amused, as like half-wits, and these really derogatory terms that I was just like, dude, they're not even part of the main story. They're just like bystanders. They're
Right.
just like faces that are observing the action, and you're describing them in this way. And I just looked up when he wrote it. He wrote it in 1985. Um, and so I read it like maybe, 1 year ago, 2024 or something. And I was really appalled by that, particularly the descriptions that he gave of Mexican women, because to me, it wasn't even central to the book, right? Like it's kind of par for the course that he would paint in a negative light the natives, right? Savages, brutes, is like people that would go into a frenzy, into battle. And
So
you
he was romanticizing the westward expansion?
I wouldn't go as far as to say that he was romanticizing it, but he was I don't even know like what he was doing, honestly, man. I kind of want to read the book again and like really hone in on the language he uses. But the first passing I gave of that book, again, like it was the way he described Mexican women that really offended me. Because in my mind, like they're not even part of the story, dude. Like, why are you insulting them?
But it seems to me from what Edgar said and to from what you're saying, it's like the author wants to really immerse you and make you put in that point of view of that person either moving westward or that guy like
I mean,
like
it could be problematic because I wonder if Cormac McCarthy even set a foot in Mexico. I hope he did.
Yeah, it could be his, like his version of what he thinks
Yeah.
this, like,
hmm yeah.
cowboys and Indians kinda story is.
Yeah. Which brings me to another point, and an important realization I had relatively recently in my life. The majority of people that I've been reading for the majority of my life have been white men, not people who look like us. Definitely not women. And so that gets me questioning like, what do I have up here? Whose message am I internalizing? And who do I aspire to be? And so that's a different kind of colonialism that's more subtle, like a colonialism that goes within your own mind. And now I try to be more cognizant of that fact and try to read more women, people who aren't white men, men from different places. Like I just mentioned Haruki Murakami from Japan. And then particularly, I strive to read people who look like us, people who are Mexican or Mexican American.